So in my opinion, there's only 2 sleeping pads that you could possibly even consider for winter backpacking and camping. And they couldn't be more different because science. Technology is just coming such a long way, and not just with camera gear, but in your outdoor recreation equipment as well. When it comes to winter backpacking or camping, these are the only 2 pads that anyone needs to consider, and they have some distinct differences to them. Did I get out a fancy infrared camera and test these 2 things? No, I didn't. I actually took them out into the cold and slept on them. That was our test for these. But after sleeping on these, I did come back and do some research on why I slept the way I did, felt the way I did. And after researching the tech that went into these to make these what they are, I'm able to explain what they do well and what they do poorly and why. So let's just get this out of the way real quick. The Therm-a-rest Neoair Xtherm is significantly warmer and significantly lighter than the Sea to Summit Etherlite Xtherm Extreme. And it's not really close. This has an R value rating of 6.9, while this has an R value rating of 6.2. That sounds close, but honestly for me, it's not. This one is so much warmer. In fact, if you're doing any kind of backpacking around 0 degrees, I don't think that it's even an option. You gotta get the Therm-a-rest Neoair Xtherm. So why is that? Why does the Therm-a-rest work so well? How is it able to get that much warmth in that much smaller of a size? Okay, the key to this thing is this fancy triangular core matrix that Therm-a-rest has patented, and so far, no other company has been able to duplicate it. And on Therm-a-rest website, they explain that they can't explain all the technology that goes into it. Think of one of those shiny, metallic looking bounce boards or pads that you might sleep on. Well, Therm-a-rest has figured out a way to sew one of those in the middle of the sleeping pad. Keeps the cold air coming from the ground down in the bottom of the pad, while that warm air on top that your body is heating is staying warm. Those horizontal baffles trap air inside it, creating these small pockets of air that don't move and that your body keeps warm, and therefore you warm on top of it. Now, performance and technology like this is not cheap. These will run you anywhere between $225 and $260. So Sea to Summit made their own version of a winter sleeping pad, I believe to put in direct competition with this thing. And they tried really, really hard and made a good pad. Unfortunately, the performance of this thing isn't near the technology of this. Now, this does have some redeeming factors that I'll get to in a second, but let's break down why that is, why this isn't as warm as this, even though it's a whole 1.5 inches thicker. Yes, the Etherlite XT Extreme Sleeping Pad is a 4-inch thick behemoth. It's basically like sleeping on a regular air mattress. And this does make the Sea to Summit, in my opinion, much more comfortable than the Therm-a-rest. And by that I mean if I'm on a cot next to a buddy heater and I don't need as much warmth, or I don't know, I'm car camping, I will actually go to this pad over this one. Okay, so the technology in this one that Sea to Summit has tried to use are these air-sprung cells. And you can see it, they're super comfy, they're super nice on your back. And on Sea to Summit's website, they say that these are designed to basically stop the flow of air and prevent convection heat loss. So Sea to Summit's idea is also to stop air from moving, trapping warm air over cold air. You know, on a hot summer day when the upstairs of your house is way warmer than the downstairs of your house? Well, that's because heat rises and cold sits at the bottom. So if they can get air to stop moving through this, then the heated air that your body heats sitting on top close to you should stay on top. Now, if air gets moving in this sleeping pad, what happens? The cold air mixes with the warm air, lowering the overall temperature of the sleeping pad that you're sleeping on. So in order for this one to work really well, you have to stay really still. And when you're out in the backcountry, who sleeps still? And when you roll around on this thing, air moves to those thick 4-inch sides of the pad, it mixes together, and it lowers the overall heat of this thing. I don't know how our values are tested anymore. I don't know if they can actually test this thing with someone rocking and rolling on top of it and see how much heat it loses. Does that go into the test? If it doesn't, there's gonna be a huge difference between these two. If that isn't included in this test and these things are just set up, not moved, and then they test the R value from there, then of course they're gonna be really close together in terms of R value. Hey look, there's an awesome winter backpacking video for you to watch next. Or you can learn how to dial in your entire winter sleep setup over here, and YouTube thinks you'll like this one. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.